Horror is the single most versatile genre in any art form. It can be anything, tell any story, even combine with other genres and still work for someone. Of course, not everyone though, because exactly what is scary is entirely subjective. Some people are afraid of spiders, or clowns, or the deep ocean. Some people are afraid of darkness, or tight spaces, and some people are even afraid of claymation. For that reason, the horror genre is the most flexible and versatile genre in any medium. Anything at all can be scary, but there are some things that we can all agree on. The main thing that makes a physical thing scary is ambiguity. The less you understand something, the more afraid you're likely to be of it. Which is an idea that I think many modern horror games have neglected in favor of spectacle. Obviously, with new console generations comes advanced visual fidelity, and naturally, if you have a horror game, you want to show off your monster. But for me, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it works wonders, but for the most part, I see crystal clear visuals, and I'm not scared of these things. I see them too well, they're too easy to discern, and for that reason, I don't find them to be that scary. That doesn't mean I don't still enjoy them as games, because I certainly do, but I find that they don't really scare me, and when I'm playing a game where I'm supposed to be scared, I don't like that. You know what I like? Silent Hill didn't invent survival horror, but it did establish a visual style that would influence horror games to this day. Especially when you look at the landscape of indie horror games, several of them blatantly and proudly wear their Silent Hill inspiration on their sleeve. Games like Crow Country and Fear the Spotlight are deliberately designed to replicate the look of PS1 visuals, and loudly echo Silent Hill. It's an interesting case where I think the visual design so clearly marks this game as being from a certain time and console, but it somehow ends up creating a look so transcendent that it becomes timeless. An iconic style that takes familiar imagery and digitizes it in such a way that they become alien and discomforting. I believe Silent Hill is the most influential horror game on the PS1, because so many other games are directly inspired by it and follow its structure. You rarely see games trying to copy Resident Evil or Clock Tower, for instance, but Silent Hill endures. There's just something about its specific PS1 aesthetic that makes for a type of visual horror that resonates with so many people. And analog horror creators have known this since Petscop. It's an incredible look, but what about it specifically makes it so special and inspires others to reproduce it? I would say there are three main elements at work here to create these beautifully discomforting visuals. Firstly, the resolution. The crunchy, pixelated textures and the render resolution of 240p might seem like they would detract from the experience, and for some, maybe they do, but for others, it creates a very compelling look. The constraints are apparent, and that's part of the appeal. Many of the locations in the game are replications of real-world locations, like a school or a hospital, and they're not video gamified, they're designed just as these locations are in the real world, which can create a somewhat uncanny feeling. You've been in a place like this. The layouts are so realistic they're almost boring, but the low resolution and polygon count gives them a strange, otherworldly look. And for the characters, the look is even further accentuated. Again, the main thing that makes something scary is ambiguity, and almost everything about these visuals are ambiguous. Look at Harry's face, for instance. You can't even see his eyes, they're just dark circles. In fact, none of the characters have visible eyes, adding to this unnerving feeling. This works wonders for the monsters as well, especially the Grey Children, as you're not even sure if they have faces, let alone eyes. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the pre-rendered cutscenes, which are beautifully done, and in the case of that scene with Lisa near the end of the game, it's the most impactful scene in the entire game. Lighting is the second key element and the secret weapon of any visual medium. Lighting informs the mood of any given scene, directs your attention, and for horror especially, it's used to create oppressive atmospheres. Silent Hill has two main lighting modes: the normal fog-filled world, which is still fully illuminated, and the other world fully enveloped in darkness, where the only source of illumination is Harry's flashlight. Darkness is an easy way to make any space feel instantly more hostile, which is another concept that analog horror creators constantly use to create creepy, liminal spaces, as they're called. It's very easy to feel like something is lurking in the darkness, especially when it marries with the sound design, or in some cases, the lack of sound. The tension it builds is palpable, and even if you played this game dozens of times and know what is or isn't coming, it still feels amazing to just sit in that oppressive darkness. Finally, and possibly the most important element, wobbly PS1 graphics. The wobble is a defining aspect of the PS1's visuals, caused by the system's math using fixed points rather than floating points, and it results in a look that many find discomforting. The faces that are already hard to identify now become warped, distorted, and figures shift unnaturally. It's just a strange thing to see every part of a character have this jumpy, jittery quality. It creates such an interesting look that, well, for lack of better words, just looks cool. I know that word is incredibly reductive, especially in this context, but if I have to use an umbrella term to describe how all of these elements fit together to create a unique type of visual horror that is greater than the sum of its parts, it's just cool. The game is chock full of incredible individual moments of visual horror magnificence that just wouldn't have the same feeling if they were rendered in full HD. As they are, graphically limited and marked by time, they're perfect. Windows into a beautiful, polygonal, pixelated world of horror.